What's up, everybody? My name is Jimmy Roosh. Have you guys ever wondered how we managed to keep 14 snakes in this tiny little room? Well, today I'm going to show you guys exactly how we do that. Let's get to it. Before I get into showing you guys how to set up a ball python enclosure, let me tell you a little bit about ball pythons. They come from a very arid and dry place in West Africa. They spend most of their time in abandoned termite mounds, and they are nocturnal, so they only come out at night. Because they have a very slow metabolism, they only have to come out maybe once or twice a month to hunt. Other than that, they like to spend their days hidden away in a rather cool, dark place. When keeping an exotic animal in captivity, it is our job to best replicate their natural habitat so that they're comfortable, healthy, thrive, and produce for us. Because things like humidity, temperature, and a cozy dark space for your ball python to hide are so important for them to thrive in captivity, it is our job to make sure we provide that for them. So the three basic things that your ball python needs is food, water, and shelter. Now I'm going to show you how to set up an enclosure to make sure your husbandry is on point, whether you keep them in a tub or a tank. It's very important for your ball python's enclosure to be temperature controlled. So the first most important thing you got to have when you set up your ball python enclosure is a heat mat. Despite what everybody thinks, ball pythons actually prefer belly heat, which means you don't need a big hot heat lamp in your house. Make sure you go with something reputable like Zilla or ZooMed. Obviously this heat mat is a little too big for this tub. These heat mats are primarily for if you're housing, one tub or you're putting it in one tank. Our rack style setups we have here, we wire our own heat tape in. This is Flex Watt. We wire it up to our nice thermostats, which is another important aspect. If you guys are running a single tank or a single tub, one of these heat mats with one of these inexpensive Amazon thermostats works completely fine. When you do get into keeping a collection and having a rack like this and wiring in Flex Watt like this, we do like to go with a little bit larger, higher output, more expensive thermostats like this Herpstat 2 that's made by Spider Robotics. We swear by this product. We have these running for both of our racks. We have one in our incubator. They are fail safe. They have flashing lights and alarms that go off if you lose connection to the probe and all that, but that is something super important. You do not want to burn your ball python because of an unregulated heat mat. Next thing you're gonna want is something nice and soft for your ball python to lay on. What we and other breeders have found is that coconut husk is the absolute best substrate to do that. Not only is coconut husk soft and it looks really nice, it is great for holding humidity. Like all other snakes, ball pythons shed, which is why it's important to have a substrate that holds humidity nicely. When ball pythons are growing up, they shed once every month. As soon as they turn to adults, it slows down once every 2 or 3 months. It's great to use coconut husk and a spray bottle like this one so that you can spray your snake's enclosure down once every 2-3 days to make sure you keep that optimal humidity level between 50 and 70%. Some of the more basic things that your ball python will need: a water bowl, but any water bowl will do. Large, small. A lot of people do say that they prefer to keep a larger water bowl so they can soak. From my experience, ball pythons aren't really much of soakers. You also need some fresh H2O. Up next is what I think is probably the most important thing, and that is to make sure that your ball python is in a space where it has plenty of space to hide, plenty of cover, so that your ball python feels comfortable enough to eat. When speaking in terms of a tub, a lot of breeders and myself agree that when they are in a small enclosed space like this, like in our racks, or if you come back over here and see, all 3 sides of this rack are covered. So when this bin is in here, it gets pretty dark. You can see he's just chilling. He feels very comfortable in his space. He feels nice and hidden. And that's honestly the way ball pythons prefer it, because they spend a lot of their time in abandoned termite mounds in West Africa, and they're nocturnal, so they don't really like to come out. Now, if you house your ball python in an aquarium or a tank, that's got 4 completely see-through sides. If you have your ball python in your living room where there is some traffic on a day-to-day basis, then your ball python might not feel comfortable. Some things that you can do if you are keeping your ball python in a tank: offer them 2 hides. For sure 2 hides if you have them in a tank. One on the hot side where your heat mat will be, and one on the cooler side. Another thing that you can do is add a little foliage. These are just dollar flowers from the Dollar Tree, inexpensive, easy to clean, also easy to throw out if they poop all over them. Adding these to the enclosure, whether it be a tub or a tank, can not only make them feel a little bit more comfortable because of the coverage that they'll have, but it honestly makes any tank or any tub look a lot nicer. One important thing when talking about heat in your ball python's enclosure is to make sure that you have one hot side and one cool side. Ball pythons prefer a hot spot around 90 to 92 degrees. You don't want to go higher than that because you risk possibly creating neurological disorders. On the cool side, between 80 and 83, depending on what time of year it is. Now, you want a nice temperature gradient from the cool side to the hot side, meaning you want to go from 83 degrees all the way slowly up to 90, 92 degrees. That is so your ball python can choose whether they want to be on the hot side, like after they digested a meal, or whether they want to be on the cool side. Now that we have proper heat, moist substrate, a water bowl, good hiding spots, you are ready to add your ball python. As you guys know, with every living animal, they eat, so they gotta poop, and they pee too. I'm gonna show you guys a few supplies that you should keep in your snake room that'll make it a little easier for you to clean up after your ball python. One very important thing I was shown to keep in my snake room is chlorhexidine. Chlorhexidine is a very mild and safe cleaning product that you can use to spot clean your ball python's enclosure. This product is so safe that you can actually clean the tub with your ball python still in the enclosure. This is just concentrate. You buy a whole bottle of this and you dilute it with a bunch of water. You take your chlorhexidine, you spray it in the enclosure, say there was some poop and pee here. You take your paper towel, which is very important to have in your snake room as well, and you spot clean it out. Obviously, you would remove any soiled bedding that is in the way to make sure that your ball python is a nice, clean, bacteria-free habitat. Some other things that we like to use that are safe to use to like clean bowls, clean enclosures, Dawn dish soap, and a scrubby so that you can clean off all the slime and stuff that builds up in the bottom of your snake bowl. Now that I have all that covered, I would like to give you some reasoning as to why we do things the way we do around here. Me and my partner Nick have put in hundreds of hours of research between breeders and keepers alike to figure out the best way that we can have our animals thrive in captivity so that they are healthy and produce for us, as well as making sure that it's efficient, because when you have 14 plus snakes, it ends up taking a lot of time to be able to maintain and keep them healthy. Watching people like Brian Barczyk, Ozzy Boyds, Justin Kabelika, Billy Rose, and the way that they operate, we kind of took the best qualities of each one and weighed out the pros and cons, kind of filled the gaps as to where we could become better. Everybody's opinion varies as to how you should keep your ball pythons. There may be some people that completely disagree with the things that I talked about in this video, but that's completely fine. Here at Perfect Circle Snakes, we definitely believe there is more than one way to do things. We seem to learn that as time goes on. In conclusion, the utmost important aspect when keeping any exotic animal in captivity is to make sure that they are comfortable and thriving just as they would in their natural habitat. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. We hoped we opened your eyes a little bit more on how simple it is to keep a pet ball python or breed them. We appreciate the continuous love and support. Hope to see you guys back at Perfect Circle Snakes. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.